A close call this afternoon in Santee, the brush fire that had people scrambling to protect their homes.
Evacuees from the Valley Fire returning, not knowing if their homes are still standing. The bittersweet scenes some of them are finding.
It's been rough. I'm sorry, I'm a little emotional.
And nearly 3/4 of San Diegans are having trouble making ends meet during this pandemic, the people being hit hardest.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
Crews will likely be working into the night, making sure a brush fire in Santee doesn't flare up. Good afternoon, I'm Lindsay Pena.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. Neighbors grabbed hoses this afternoon to protect their homes from that oncoming flame. The fire broke out around noon near Carlton Oaks Drive and Carlton Hills Boulevard, north of Mission Gorge Road. Our ABC 10's reporter Mimi Alcala talked to a couple who saw that fire approaching from their own backyard. Mimi.
Yeah, and about 7 or 8 homes had to be evacuated. The fire was that close to their backyards. You can see a lot of fire crews here right now kind of wrapping things up here. This is on Willows Grove Avenue where the fire, like I just mentioned, was burning behind all of these homes in a riverbed. Fire crews attacked this very quickly. It was a close one, though, for homeowners.
That one was close. You know, other ones, I pulled up a lawn chair and I go, oh, they probably got this, you know. But that one, I go, pack it up.
Nancy and Scott Damaris, along with their dog Jordan, rushed out of their home on Willows Grove Avenue as the fire grew behind their backyard in a riverbed. The brush in the area is really heavy and dry. Some palm trees also caught fire as the winds kind of whipped around those flames. Crews attacked this from the ground and the air. A sheriff's helicopter and an SDG&E helicopter were helping with water drops. And people were also getting onto their roofs with water hoses, wetting things down and preparing just in case that fire did get closer. Fortunately, though, it only grew to about 4 to 6 acres, but 100 firefighters approximately are here right now from a number of agencies, including Santee, Lakeside, CAL FIRE, Heartland, and more. Although the fire is contained, they will stay out here to make sure nothing flares back up. One firefighter was injured and taken to a local hospital, we're told, but we do not know the extent of his injuries just yet. The cause of this fire is still under investigation at this time. Of course, we'll bring you any updates as we learn more. For now, we're live in Santee. Mimi Alcala, ABC 10 News.
Thank you, Mimi. Turning now to the Valley Fire. Nearly 700 firefighters are now mopping up hotspots. The fire remains at 17,000 acres and 32% containment. At least 30 homes have been destroyed. Other evacuees are discovering their properties were untouched. ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer De La Cruz spoke to residents. And Jen, it is a bittersweet day for them today.
We are on Lyons Valley Road. For a lot of evacuees, this is the way back home. As you can see, the roadway is completely charred on either side. A lot of residents have no idea what condition their home is in when they're heading back today.
Just came right down through.
Jimmy Oxford is one of the lucky ones.
Big sigh of relief to get back and see that it had not made it into the yard.
He came home to find his house still standing in Lawson Valley.
I'm just thankful. All those years of work keeping the property cleared and creating a big buffer on the backside paid off.
For some neighbors, just 100 yards away, it's a completely different story.
And it's gone. It's just gone.
Now that he's back home, there's a lot of work to be done.
And the big chemical droppers painted the back of our house pink for us. I wanted to make sure my property was safe, and because, you know, I got to get the generator going, get the water pump back up.
Driving through the destruction, you can see charred landscapes in every direction. CAL FIRE says at least 30 homes have been destroyed. Evacuation orders for some areas have been downgraded to evacuation warnings. We spoke to one woman who didn't want to show her face. She came home despite evacuation orders still in place for her neighborhood.
It is what it is. It's going to happen, but they've got to save the houses. I mean, our firefighters are amazing. What they did for our house was incredible.
The fire also tearing through watersheds that provide drinking water for tens of thousands of people downstream.
Given the fact that a significant portion of our watershed has burned, and burned in a severe manner,
crews are now working to assess the extent of that damage. We have seen a couple hot spots flaring up today, but fortunately crews have been able to knock those out quickly. As for those evacuation centers, they say they will stay open for as long as they're needed. Reporting live, Jennifer De La Cruz, ABC 10 News.
Jen, thank you. And of course, the weather has been playing a big role all week in this firefight. Our meteorologist, Angelica Campos, joins us now with a look at the current conditions out there. Angelica.
Hi, Stephen. We did have offshore winds, which basically Santa Ana winds, because of the direction of the wind. But the good news here is that the winds are already starting to turn and they're coming mostly out of the west. That onshore flow is going to continue to make things better for the Valley Fire and really all across our county. The temperature is at 85 degrees right now in this area. The winds coming out of the northeast very lightly. The humidity is still very low at 30%. But as you can see, even all around the San Diego County, the winds only averaging at 12 miles per hour. So we are looking much better. Still very dry. This is what makes the weather and the forecast tricky for fire conditions. When we say the weather is getting better, all in all, it is, but it's still very dry. We should see some improvement with the amount of moisture in the air over the next couple of days.
Angelica, thank you. Stay on top of any new developments with the fire by downloading the 10 News mobile app. A free version is available in the App Store.
Turning now to coronavirus and some promising news from the governor. Today, Gavin Newsom tweeted out that California's COVID-19 caseload is down 24% this week. Our positivity rate is 4%, the lowest it's been since May. And our hospital and ICU rates are down by 22%. But Newsom warns that this can all change if we don't continue to be smart. That means wearing a mask, washing your hands, and physically distancing. An eye-popping study found roughly 70% of San Diegans contacted by researchers are struggling to pay for basic necessities during the coronavirus outbreak. ABC 10 News reporter John Horn looks into the findings and sees where the pandemic is hitting the hardest.
You have to hustle. You have to work really hard.
Eve Ramirez began living her dream when she opened Mexicali Street Tacos in City Heights.
This is my calling. This is what I love to do.
Then the coronavirus hit and Ramirez shut down the restaurant. It's still closed to this day.
It's been rough. It's been rough. I'm sorry, I'm a little emotional. Having a new little baby boy and being a single mom, it's scary, but I'm happy.
Ramirez is now living with her mother in Bonita. A friend is donating diapers, and she's getting food assistance from the state. She's also got plenty of company when it comes to struggling to pay for basic necessities. A study released Thursday by Sandag says 7 of 10 San Diegans surveyed experienced hardship paying for food, rent, and utilities. And 2/3 of respondents said their employment was negatively impacted in the pandemic.
Well, it wreaks havoc. What we find is our food lines around the community are extremely long, and that actually makes people even more susceptible to getting sicker.
The study says the pandemic has hit the hardest in the South Bay. Ana Melgoza of San Ysidro Health says it's a challenge there because many families are doubling up in homes due to the high cost of living and work in jobs that require interaction with the public. John Horn, ABC 10 News.
The Road to Recovery Coalition, made up of 23 local community organizations, says the pandemic is having a large impact on people of color. It's advocating monetary assistance to families, worker training, and more financial support for local organizations.
And here are the latest numbers. The county reported 284 new cases today. That brings our total to 41,600. That includes 69 new cases from San Diego State. There were also 4 new deaths reported today, bringing that total to 725. President Trump is trying to defend his comments in a new book in which that he appears to admit not being honest with the American public about the threat of COVID-19. ABC's Ines de la Cuetara has the latest from Washington.
Today, fresh fallout after new audio excerpts obtained by CNN appear to show President Trump admitting to veteran journalist Bob Woodward that his decision to publicly downplay the severity of COVID-19 was intentional.
It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus.
Trump allegedly making those comments on February 7, but here he is just days later.
He asked about the coronavirus, which is very well under control in our country.
This is a flu. This is like a flu.
Time magazine preparing to release this new cover as the U.S. death toll closes in on 200,000 lives lost to the coronavirus. Democrats lashing out.
He'd been saying for a long time the whole thing was a hoax. His delay, denial, and distortion of what was happening. It's caused many deaths.
Kristen Urquiza lost her father, Mark Anthony, to COVID-19 and slammed the president's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic at the Democratic National Convention.
Dad was a healthy 65-year-old. His only pre-existing condition was trusting Donald Trump, and for that, he paid with his life.
Urquiza now calling on the president to resign. The president confirming he downplayed the virus, insisting today he wanted to project strength and confidence.
I want to show a level of confidence, and I want to show strength as a leader, and I want to show that our country is going to be fine one way or the other. Whether we lose one person, we shouldn't lose any, because this shouldn't have happened.
But critics pointing out the president hasn't always shied away from fear-mongering.
Remember this, if Biden wins the violent mobs, you see these mobs all over the place, they're Biden people.
In all, the president reportedly did 18 interviews with Bob Woodward for his new book, Rage, which comes out next week, just 7 weeks before the election. Inez de la Cuetara, ABC News, Washington.
And today, the Senate failed to advance a Republican version of a COVID-19 relief bill. The 52 yes votes were 8 shy of the number needed to overcome a Democratic filibuster. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell introduced the bill after negotiations with Democrats stalled more than a month ago. It provides much smaller benefits than the version that passed the House. It's unclear if the two sides will be able to strike a deal.
The Trump administration has charged a Russian national in a sweeping plot to sow distrust in the American political system. The man is accused of stealing Americans' identities to open bank accounts and promote messages to undermine the public trust. Meantime, the Trump administration is imposing sanctions against a Ukrainian lawmaker accused of interfering in November's election. And it looks like election interference is a big problem once again. Microsoft's vice president says Russia, China, and Iran are all trying to hack into U.S. political campaigns and groups. Tom Burt says the same Russian military intelligence outfit that hacked the Democrats in 2016 has tried to break into more than 200 organizations this year. Burt says most of the hacking attempts were stopped by Microsoft software.
The DEA stopped 4,500 pounds of meth from making it here to San Diego and Imperial counties. It is the result of a 6-month-long operation called Crystal Shield. Federal agents targeted the biggest methamphetamine transportation hubs in the U.S., including New Orleans, Dallas, Phoenix, and San Diego. 1,800 people were arrested nationwide. 81 suspected traffickers have been arrested in San Diego since January.
COVID-19 is still a problem, and here comes flu season. What our local healthcare system is doing to prepare for a possible crush of patients.
Plus, a sneak peek at what San Diego's new Comic-Con museum will look like when it opens next summer.
I'm used to helping everybody, and I put myself last.
And the outpouring of support for a man who helped others during the Valley Fire while losing his own home. We're back in 90 seconds.